Blog Talk Radio.
Hello from the other side.
Now presenting
From the other side.
Channeling Erik's Hour of Enlightenment.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday night show. As always, we are here. A shout out to liveparanormal.com for letting us do this stuff. They unleashed us on the unsuspecting public, which is awesome. Sorry about my voice. I am really sick today. Really just got up at 12:30 today, which is horrible. I mean, my guilt feelings were just terrible because I was always taught, you got to be productive. But I've really been sick, so I'm going to hold on as long as I can. And fortunately, Kim does, bears most of the burden, so we're good. Anyway, so for you guys who don't know this, we've got Kim Babcock, medium extraordinaire, who is going to translate for my son in spirit, Erik Medhus. And he's going to share his wisdom and hopefully help you guys. Today, first of all, I'm going to say, hi, Erik, I love you.
He says, what's up, Mom? He's blowing you kisses.
Nothing.
He says, hey. Being real sweet.
Hey, it's like pities. Hey.
Yeah,
well, send me some
true.
healing energy,
that's
man.
True. It's the hey, hey, how are you?
Sorry
okay?
about that, yeah. Yeah, just send me your healing mojo. Come on, you can do it. But anyway, thank you also, Kim. How are you doing?
You're very welcome, as always. I'm doing great. I'm hanging in there, too, taking one day at a time and keeping my head above water. A little sleepy tonight, but we're here and we're ready to do this. So
we're ready to rock and roll. Anyway, today I would like Erik to share more about what his afterlife is like. Sorry about my voice. It sounds like a 70-year-old guy with a 4-pack-a-day smoking history, but anyway, Erik, tell us about your afterlife. You've said many times that everybody's afterlife is what they make it. Thought creates reality, so you can create whatever afterlife you want. But tell us about your surroundings now.
It's absolutely, Mom. So as I was preparing for the show, I was just I always take time before any sessions or before the radio show just to kind of meditate and tune in. And I started asking Erik just to describe it. What's it like? And this is what he's showing for himself. He says the best thing, the most, I guess, God, life-changing thing to experience. Yeah, he says life-changing. He goes, but could you really call it life-changing? He's like, because here it's all one. It's all the same. So it doesn't really make sense to use those words, but he's using those words because that's the best way you guys will understand what he says. But he says the greatest thing. You got to dumb it down for us. That's right. He goes, the greatest thing to experience is freedom from the chains that you once carried. You begin to see how limitless you actually are, he says, and you begin to realize, Mom, just kind of what he's talking about and showing the opposite of what you just said. So, okay, this is what he means by that. So you said, that he's told us that our belief creates our reality, which it does. And he says, so in that you get to experience how your earthly self and your earthly beliefs kept you very limited. So here, you can use your beliefs and sort of your expectations too, what you expect to experience. You experience, you create. It's a more present. You're more present with you are present with your conscious self, he says. And then in that presence, you get to see, he's showing comparative, so he keeps comparing to his physical life. So you get to see how you were your own worst enemy most of the time and your own worst burden. You can see the differences between your thoughts and your physical life, and here, the open, how things are so limitless. He says that's probably the most radical thing to experience. He says when you realize how limitless you actually are and how you were your own worst enemy most of the time, and you go, oh, wait, so if I couldn't do that in my physical life because I thought I couldn't or I believed I couldn't, and now I know that, everything is accessible to me. Because of that knowing, you create. So you create through what you believe. Of course, you do that here and there, he says.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times people don't get it or they question it, he says, their ability to do that. So here, he says, if I can, he's showing standing behind someone and sort of grabbing them by the shoulders and shaking them, if I could shake you awake, he says, and help you realize how most of the time you are your own worst enemy and, you're standing in your own way. If I can shake you awake and get you out of that, then you can be like a living example of what I just said, what I just talked about. He says, living heaven on earth. Because you come into that realization. So it is what you believe it to be, and you make it, you create it, Mom, he says. So
awesome. Okay, so you walk out of do you live in a house right now?
That's funny. That's interesting because he started showing okay, so he's kind of bringing it down to his level, or not down, but more personalized to him. And so he's showing experiencing different things by merging with different people, and then showing kind of where he feels a resonance, a connection. So he says you can create the feeling and the experience, Mom. So for example, if you like the routine of coming home to the same home every night, and that feeling gives you comfort, you can create that here, that pattern.
Have you created that, or have you? What do you do then? I want to know what you do.
He has, and he says that he's calling them all energy patterns and energy codes. So just bear with me, you guys. If he says those words, then you know what he's talking about. So the feeling of experiencing this house, it's just a code energetically. So I do. He says that he has his own place that he comes back to often. He's showing it looks like a 2-story, what would you call this? I wouldn't call it an apartment, almost like a studio. It's very modern looking. I know that sounds crazy probably. But it's, when I look at the furniture and stuff, it's very modern looking, very clean and sleek. He goes, yeah, Mom, go ahead and roll your eyes. Because there's
I know, I hate modern architecture, but okay.
And I looked at him, I'm wow, it's really clean. It's spotless. It's immaculate. And he's
that's definitely a change right there.
Yeah, that's where he's go ahead and roll your eyes because it's the he says, well, you being the listeners and everybody on here tonight, he says, just as well as I do, if it's clean, it feels better. So, that's the flow of energy. So that's why it's so immaculate. It's a high vibrational space. That's why all of his furniture has clean, smooth edges. It's absolutely spotless. So this is funny. He says he prefers his bedroom upstairs.
I've heard that before from other mediums. Yeah.
Oh, really?
No master down.
Wow. He says he prefers his bedroom upstairs because it just feels like home to him. It feels like what I know, he says.
Yeah, because his room was upstairs. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, so funny. So it's just, he says, now I can have this experience, I can create it through feeling, but I'm not attached to it. And that's the beauty of being here. He says you don't have those attachments where if you don't have it or you don't experience it, then you struggle or you get depressed or whatever. He says it's just it's like such a sense of freedom. Like if you want it, you manifest it. There's no time or space or illusions that you have to figure out, like put the pieces of the puzzle together to bring your consciousness into that manifestation, that stage. So instead, he says it's kind of like, your wish is my command, but it's like he's speaking as if your consciousness is speaking back to you. Like when you speak something, you speak it into existence, or when you think or when you feel something, you feel it into existence, he says. So I said, well,
describe your favorite room. Oh, go ahead. But then after you finish, describe your favorite room in your house.
Okay. So I said, well, are there any rules? Like, it feels completely free and open. I said, are there any, like, rules or regulations? And he's shaking his hand like, kind of, or so-so maybe. But it's not rules like we would know. It's more of just a knowing, he says. It's not like a rule and it's like you tiptoe around the rules and you fear them like people do on Earth. But because of being in a place of all-knowing or having that access to, like, the universal pool of consciousness, it's like you have a knowing of all that is. So there doesn't really need to be any rules, he says, because, for example, if he's not supposed to intervene in someone's life in a certain way, then he already knows that because he's higher consciousness, you see. So it's like it's already understood. So it's not like I got to go check the rule book, he says. It's more of just a knowing that's universal. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. That's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
But I said, describe your favorite room. And he makes me feel like this is a living room. This is my lounge space. He has pizza in his lounge space. He has his feet up on the table. He has a big, long couch, a big, wide couch. It's all white, though, like his furniture. And it's funny because I'm like, it's just so different than the Erik I know. I would figure he would be, like, afraid to get, I don't know, it sounds so funny to say, but, like, stains on it, so it's very symbolic.
Yeah, that guy would work on cars, and he was a grease monkey, and would go in our little shed and weld and stuff. White would not have worked out in his life here as Erik Matthews. There is no way.
Yeah, I see him, like, and I can see and smell his pizza on his coffee table, and it's just all white, but his favorite feature of his living room is this big shaggy rug and this big TV. So but it's the feeling it creates. Again, he says it's like it's really open. There's just windows everywhere. He goes, using air quotes with his fingers, and he goes,
do you watch
windows.
TV? Do you watch TV?
Go ahead.
Do you actually watch TV?
He says, well, sort of. He says it's more about the downtime, and he's using, like, air quotes with his fingers. It's more about creating the experience or the feeling of that experience. But he says, when you said, do you actually watch TV, he says yes, but not like you picture it. He says, when I watch TV, it's usually with or through my family, like my loved ones. So for him, it's he can experience things through memory. He says, like a TV show or a movie or something, through an emotional memory. But he prefers, he says, if I had my choice, I prefer, like he's showing himself sitting next to one of his sisters and watching TV with them or watching TV through them. So it's like shifting his consciousness through them because it's so much more real, Mom. He's like the emotions are there.
So you Netflix binge with us. You Netflix binge with us probably, huh?
He's like, all the time. That's what he says.
Awesome.
So,
all right, walk outside. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just a whole different experience that he's describing, like the way it makes him feel to sit next to his family and watch versus be in his own space and watch. So he prefers being next to his family. It makes it feel more real, like how he remembers in his physical life.
Do you miss us?
So, he says, I do, Mom. I miss touch. I miss the touch. Like, I miss touching you, like feeling what hair feels like with your hands, like hugging. I miss, like, that body, like the body bump, the body togetherness when you hug someone, like that embrace. He doesn't want me to call it embrace. He prefers the body bump.
Oh, I missed it. I miss it too.
He misses, like, he's showing, like, missing interaction on different levels, like with children versus animals versus people, and how that triggers different emotions from people. So it's all earthbound that he's describing that he misses, like those feelings.
Yeah. Well, you spend a lot of time earthbound when you're helping other people, so it must make it very difficult to pull away from that.
He says it's actually more fulfilling than you would think. He says, I can be in my own place, experiencing my own self, my own place, my own downtime, so to speak, while also intensely working with someone and keeping them from, he says doing it. What he means is like taking their life. So he says, I can be in both places at the same time, experiencing two opposite ends of the scale. And he says, I have to say that is pretty cool, because I asked him, I said, well, do you miss, like, I know this sounds strange to ask, but I said, well, do you miss, like, not having that ability? Like, when you're human, I guess you're just very in one place, because we can't be in all those places at once. I said, do you miss that?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, not really. He says, I can't say I do. He likes being able to be, to help so many and to be connected, or to be so connected, he says.
He can have his cake and eat it too. Erik, step out of your house. Sorry about my voice, people. And describe it before we take callers. This is the last thing. But, step outside. What do you see?
This is so cool. So he takes me into, like, as if I'm him, and I look down at his feet, his feet, and it's, there's like these stepping stones that go over water. So he likes water. He likes the water being around his place. It's very open. Like when I look up, again, he's putting my consciousness into him, so I'm seeing from his point of view. So when I look up, I don't see, there's no houses, there's no nothing. It's just a wide open field. Like he likes his me space, he calls it. So he steps over this water. These stepping stones go over it's just like a little creek. It's not very big. And then it just goes into this big field. So I can feel grass. But the funny thing is it's all white. So
wow.
When I can feel the grass like walking through, and I can hear it too, like the feet shuffling through grass. I asked him, I said, well, why is it all white? You know, I can feel it and I can hear it, but I can't see the grass. Why can't I see the grass? It's just white when I look down. And he says, it's just a high vibrational space that I keep myself in. So white, he's just trying to teach, I guess. He goes, so white is symbolic to you for the highest vibration. So that's why he's showing it like all white. It's not like there's not green, but it's just a symbolic form of communication, I guess. So
I see.
He looks around, but there's like this. So I said, is there anybody with you? Does anybody hang out here with you? And he looks around, and this is where he gets like really sweet, and he's like acting like a gentleman. And there's this female with him, and her hair is a little bit darker, like brown or brunette. I said, Eric, who is this? And he just says, this is my girl. So
oh, it's Jillian?
It must be, because that's what it's like. I hear the j sound.
Okay.
She's very sweet. She's very, I don't know if this is someone, Elisa, that you knew in her physical life, or who this is to him, but she's very, she has a very soft energy, a very compassionate, feminine energy. She just, I don't know how else to say it, like she feels very soft, very graceful, very sweet. So she takes, like her approach is she steps forward and grabs Eric's hand. She's just very quiet because she wants Erik to have his time. So, but she's very sweet.
Is that Jillian? Or is it the two people I knew that took their lives, when they were friends of Erik, was Jordan and Allie. Is it one of those, or is it Jillian you're speaking about?
No, I think it's the first name, Jillian.
Okay.
That's it. That grounds his energy so much more, because he's looking back at her and like reaching out for her hand. And there's something about her. I don't know why he's telling you this, but he says that like she specializes with like feminine energy. Like she works with women and girls. She works with females, or like that feminine balance.
Right.
Like
she works with and also mothers, parents, children. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, because he's showing
her.
like a big pregnant belly. I mean, he's showing like she balances feminine energy. Like, wow, she's just really something else. And Erik is just conveying a lot of love for her, like a very compassionate, romantic kind of love, just very sincere. So,
well, Kim, you and I need to ask her to be interviewed one day. Be cool.
What was that?
We should interview her one time.
Oh, that about made me cry. I keep having this image of him, like, it's like, okay, picture like you're standing in front of this 2-story house that literally is like all glass. I mean, you can see right through it. You can see the furniture. And so he is just on this side of the water, and there's like the stepping stones behind him, and his house is behind him, and he's looking back to her, reaching her hand. And when you said that, like maybe we can interview her, Erik turned his head back towards me, and he smiled, and he said, she's been waiting for that.
Oh.
Like he just said that really sincerely, and that
clearly
made me cry.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know.
One last question before we go. Are there any mountains around you, or lakes, or anything?
He says no mountains. He says, but there's a lake. So he's showing, like, as he just goes forward. But this is my water. He says, this is my water. This is my lake, so I can do whatever the hell I want. If I feel like swimming naked, I will. He says.
All right.
So he has a lake. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Well, Erik, thank you for sharing your life with us, and Jillian, you too, and we'll call you in one day. I think it's important. I think we're ready to take callers now. Again, a shout-out and a station identification to liveparanormal.com. Thank you for letting us do this, man. Anyway, let's take the first caller. You ready, Erik?
He says, I'm ready, Mom. He has such a sweet tone.
All right. Okay, we have somebody from the 517 area code. Hi there, how are you doing?
Hey. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, what you got for Erik?
Lisa, I'm feeling kind of the same way. I'm holding up my glass of wine to you right now because I just saw a chat on your page today, and I thought, you just do so much. And we love you for it.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And Kim, we love you. You've never met me, but I am Destin's mom. Erik found Destin for me right after he passed away, back in 2000. Well, just after he passed away, so it was actually 2015 that he found him for me.
Oh.
And I was going to ask about Jillian. I am so glad that you did, Elisa.
Wow.
Because I know that that's his soulmate, and I wanted to ask about her, and I'm so glad that you're going to talk to her. And I guess I was kind of wondering, is Destin there with Erik?
This is what Erik says, and I still see this picture of him holding hands with Jillian. It's so sweet. He says he shows like a really strong togetherness or like a bond with Dustin or Justin. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. But
Destin, like Destin, Florida.
Okay, that's what I thought. So he wants you to know. He says that he goes. He's like making a bullet list, like a you know what I mean, like bullet points, and he's listing out. He goes, "We're together. We're safe. We're troublemakers." So,
oh my God!
That's a way of
so
saying like they're together and they're safe. They're friends because they seem very similar. And he makes me feel like, he says that when he says they're troublemakers, it's like, he says Destin is someone who he can spend a lot of time with, and he's, again, using air quotes, but he says he's someone he can spend a lot of time with and talk about really nothing, but talk for hours and like enjoy the entire time. You know, that feeling of like you connect so easily with someone that it just happens so easily. He's showing like strong conversation with him and a friendship. I mean, he just kind of like gently like shrugs his shoulders and he says a friendship. So,
well, did they know each other in other lives?
This is what Erik said. He said, no, just this one. And he's thanking you for keeping space in your heart for both of them, he says, because that's what keeps us connected to you, and that's what keeps you going. So he says, thank you for keeping that space. And what he means by that, he goes, can I just, Erik goes, he like cleared his throat. He goes, can I just take a minute to explain what that means? When you hold space for someone, he goes, it simply means, apparently someone listening must need to know. He goes, holding space for someone means that you love them no matter what, that you're compassionate to them no matter what, that you don't judge them, you don't critique them, you just be, you coexist with them, and that's what holding space is. So you allow them to be themselves, you allow them to be who they are. That's holding space. So he's thanking you for doing that for them, for the boys, for both of them.
Well, I need to thank Erik because I've had the same kind of feelings that a lot of people have. You know, they're afraid to do this, but I've come out of the closet, and Erik was the one that pushed me to do my blog because Destin and I are doing automatic writing now. And Erik is the one that pushed me to go ahead and start the blog, which is theblogginggodling.com. And he just pushed me. He said, do it. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Yeah. And I want to thank Erik for that, for pushing me. It really helped me.
Oh, that's awesome. He says, no. He says, thank yourself because you responded. You took a message, you honored it, and you responded. So you have yourself to thank. He says, I gave you the tool.
I've got both of them in my head now.
What'd you say?
It's like I've got both of them in my head now. Erik wants me to be friends with Elisa because we have so much in common. 61 years old, and I'm holding my glass of wine up to her right now, you know. It's like...
I don't have one now, but I'll get it later.
I know you're not feeling good. I didn't have one last night before I had my Alka-Seltzer Plus either. But he says he's pushing me to be closer to Elisa, and I've always wondered about Jillian, and I'm so glad Elisa brought that up tonight. And I'm just hoping that Destin has a soulmate as well. Does he, Erik?
He says, oh, absolutely. It's already. He's showing like. He says, okay, let's go back. Let's go down to the basics real quick. He says that concept that for every action there's a reaction. Excuse me. So for every creation, like energy creation, for every energy body, there's, for every action there's a reaction. So same thing when you look at soulmates. So when your son, came into existence, so did the soulmate, because it's like that. It's the concept of the twin flame. But I don't like that term because it's so overused. But Erik is trying to explain it from like that scientific perspective that for every action there's a reaction. So ever since the beginning of your son or me or anyone else, ever since their beginning, so to speak, so too was the beginning of their soulmate. So it's always already there. It's already like automatic. So think of it that way. Yes, indeed. He has a soulmate, Erik says. So,
and do you know what her name is?
Excuse me. Now I'm getting hoarse for some reason.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
And then we're going to go on right after this to the next caller, because I know there's a lot of people waiting.
So do you know what her name is? And this is what he spells, Arianna. So it sounds like Ariana. Ariana, not Ariana. It's Ariana.
Oh, that's
wow,
so
that's pretty. Well, thank you,
girl,
Erik. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you, Kim. I've been trying so hard for so long to get on. So, thank you, Elisa.
I know.
Thanks for calling.
I love you guys. I love you, Justin. I know you're out there, but I didn't want to bring you in and take up too much time. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, we got one from the 210 area code. What is that? Is that San Antonio or Austin? Hi there.
That's San Antonio.
Oh,
San Antonio. Okay, I was right the first time. How you doing?
Good. Hi, Dr. Manhus. Hi, Kim. I hope you feel better, Dr. Manhus.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question about my parents. They moved in with my wife and I and our kids, and my dad's 88 and mom's 74. And this past week, I've been just really worried about them, about the long-term outlook on things. I want them to live with me and my wife until the very end, till they pass on to the other side. I don't want them to go into a nursing home. And so that's my biggest fear is something happening and then them having to have a long-term care. But I guess I just want to know what I can do to prevent them from going to a nursing home.
Okay, this is what Erik is showing. He says some tips that you can do. Hang on just a moment. My goodness. Sorry about that. He says some tips that you can do to prevent them from going into a nursing home. First is to allow them to be as independent as long as possible, he says, because even though they're living with you, usually when that happens, when you bring someone in under your roof, you automatically assume, taking over roles for them. Well, let me do that, let me take care of that for you. So whatever you have to take care of for them, then do that. But let them do as much as they can for themselves, he says, because I think on many levels, it's obviously he says that they're frustrated with losing independence, but you have to be mindful of yourself, your health, and your family too, because I think that he's showing me like resistance. So I don't know if it's like if they're resisting help and care, or what it is that they're resisting, like just from family. But you know, you have to be. He says you have to be honest with yourself. Like if they get to a point where they're not allowing you to care for them, then you might have to bring in. I mean, you're going to have a lot of options to exhaust first, he says, before you would even have to consider, you know, taking them to a home. He says a couple things to remember. Don't sit with this fear of like, I'm so afraid they're going to have to go to a nursing home. I don't want them to ever go to a nursing home. He says, don't sit with that fear because you'll eventually wind up creating that. So instead, he says, you can look at many options that you have, like bringing in healthcare into the home, you know, or different types of like aides and stuff, live-in aides that, well, not live-in, but they come in and they help do regular things while you guys are away at working or whatever it might be. But he says that the general process, he says if you can, the longer you can keep them independent, the better. But don't force it. If they're not allowing care, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. So just be mindful of that, he says. And by tough decisions, he's showing like bringing in someone else to do what you're very capable of doing, but they might not let you do. I don't know what that means to you, but it feels like
I do understand that because my mother, when she had dementia, she had a hard time transitioning to my sister and I doing things like bathing her and changing her diapers and things like that. It was really a tough transition for her. But then she didn't want strangers to come into her house either, so it was tough. It was a tough call.
That would be tough.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That's something I've been thinking about, and I know that other callers are waiting, but I do appreciate your time. One more thing. If Erik can thank Chris Cornell and
oh yes, Soundgarden. Yeah.
Absolutely. His heart gets really big when you said that. He had this button-up shirt on, Erik did, and he ripped it open and just shows like a big heart. So I don't know why he ripped the shirt open, but he's thanking you for saying that. So
that's awesome.
Thank you for calling, and I hope that his guidance helps you with your parents.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, what a good son.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Sometimes they're just the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I handle my parents? Oh, well, just put a pillow over their heads and they'll be fine.
Oh, I remember but when I worked in the nursing home, someone dropped their dad off and literally said, if he was a dog, I'd have him put down. And we all, I'm sure we were picking our jaws up off the floor when she said that. It was terrible.
Oh, my gosh. All right, we have somebody from the 703 area code. How you doing? Can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Hello? Anybody there?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, there you are. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you? Thank you for calling me.
What question do you have for Erik?
The question I have for Erik is, why am I so off balance?
Are you talking about physically or spiritually or emotionally?
No, physically.
Okay.
Yeah,
like you can't keep your balance?
When you said...
Excuse me?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Elisa. Go ahead.
No, you physically cannot keep your balance, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it comes and goes, but most of the time it's off. It's off.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
This is what Erik is showing. Even before you finished your question, it was crazy how you said, why am I... Right then, all the energy dropped to the feet, to like the lower legs. So there's definitely an acknowledgement of mobility issues. But it could just be, balance through your mobility or whatever. So he's showing there must be an issue with circulation, or he's showing circulation but this is like a systemic issue, okay? It's a reference. So first I would maybe look at, I don't know if there's some sort of special testing they can do for circulation just to make sure overall circulation as well.
Yeah.
But he's showing
can you be specific? Like, is it an autoimmune disease? Is it diabetes? Is it something in the brainstem? Where is it originating from?
Yeah.
He's taking all the energy to up to the head space, and he's going deep in. It's not an inner ear issue. It would be like a central nervous system issue.
Like brainstem?
Well, I know I have some fluid on the brain.
Yeah,
but they said they had it under control. So,
is it related to that, Erik?
Yeah, because it's not related to the inner ear, but he's still referencing the head. So, and he says neurologic. So there must be neuro damage in accordance to this fluid buildup. Because that's interesting that you say that there's fluid buildup up in the head space, because he was showing fluid buildup down by the feet. That's why I was saying like circulation issues. So, you know, this is impacting the way your body perceives its environment. He says, like the way, and so it's constantly like trying to adjust and readjust, you know, where you are in accordance to like the space around you, like your environment, and that's how you sort of keep your balance.
What can she do? What's the solution, if any?
Okay, two things. He's very blunt about this. He says he's showing me if there's some way that you can improve circulation and reduce like fluid retention, because even though you might think it's just localized, you know, most of the time we carry more fluids than we realize in other places too. So he's do whatever you can to reduce fluid retention, and he's even saying think about the foods you eat, think about the things that you drink that could cause you to just, you know, retain fluids. You're going to have to drastically change your diet, he says.
Like diet drinks have a lot of sodium in them, for example.
Yeah, I don't drink. I just drink water.
That's exactly what he's talking about, like sodium and things like that in foods that just trigger, you know, that response.
Yeah, they do.
You've got to really watch that. Your body's super sensitive to that stuff, he says. Like
yes,
the reaction.
it is. Okay. Well, I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, I hope it helps, and we'll be praying for you, sweetie, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the neurologist and
I think that's a
have him give me, maybe I may have to put a shunt in my
Erik
head.
says to tell you that there is a lot of room for improvement. So it's not like right now, basically you're not doing, and it's not you. I feel like, you know, you need the help of medical professionals, but he says they're not doing what they could be. Like there's a lot of methods that they could put into place to help you. So you need to continue to stay consistent with your efforts to get better.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
nobody's going to be a better advocate for their health than you. And I know that a lot of doctors are very complacent and they don't really look out of the box, etc. You need to demand. You need to put your foot down. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. You need to say, I need to find out. I want you to be aggressive about this. I want to know what's going on. Check me for everything. Yeah. Check for autoimmune disease.
I agree. They don't.
Give me an MRI. Do all this stuff. You find out what's behind this. I want answers.
Yeah, well, that's...
You have to be aggressive.
That's why I know it's I thought it was fluid in the brain.
But why? You need to find out why.
Yeah, and I feel like there's fluid buildup in other places too that's causing this. So it's a circulatory issue. It's a nervous system issue.
And the only person I know that's really helping me is the acupuncturist.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
Interesting.
And he's I thank him for it. I don't know what I would have done without him.
That's Awesome.
Great, but put your foot down for these doctors and make sure that they get down to the bottom of it. If you're not satisfied, keep beating your drum.
Yeah, keep going
demands.
somewhere else. Okay, thank you. I'll let you go.
Well, at least make demands of the person you're going to. And if they don't work out, then, screw you.
That's
I'm going to go find somebody who cares enough to really think about this.
Right.
So, all right, well, I'll pray for you, baby.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Take
Love
care.
you. Love you to all of you. Bye.
Thank you. All right. We got somebody from the 813 area code. How you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
My name is Sheldon from Brooksville.
Hi, Sheldon.
Welcome.
How you doing?
Hello. I just have just a quick question. I noticed that there's this island that was out in the Philippines. It's called Sandy Island, and it was charted even back in the 1700s by like Marco Polo, and it was recorded by satellites even up until the 2000s. And I just was wondering what happened to this island. Now it's not there. People went to the spot, and it's like 80 or 100 foot deep, way deeper than the island that could have went underwater or so forth.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. Erik is showing this being like, he's like scratching his head. He goes, okay, because you know that thing that they call like highly concentrated places of energy, like a vortex? He goes, well, you can consider this like a vortex on steroids, like a super vortex.
Like the Bermuda Triangle, that kind of thing?
Yeah, Mom, he says. It's like,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a, it's just magnified. The energy there, the intensity of the energy is magnified. So when I'm like, okay, well, what actually happened to it? Where did it go physically?
Yeah.
He's showing first sinking, like being surrounded by, overcome by water, but then also dissolving. Like he's showing it breaking off like pieces. Because when the energy is that high, he says it has no option but to be affected, meaning the island. So, and he's kind of comparing, like if you go to other vortices, other places on Earth where they have these major vortices, like you'll see some of the trees, they swirl, like they grow in a spiral motion. It's really wicked. But because they're affected by the energy. So the same thing, the land can't help but to be affected. It's the intensity of the energy, but he's showing it like still being there, but sinking and like dissolving. Well, not dissolving completely though. It's just like broken in pieces. So it's I would have
destroyed it.
Is there?
Yeah.
He's talking about there being a lot of history though of like things happening here. So I don't know if that's anything you could speak to or anything you know of, but he's showing like a lot of energy patterns, a lot of things being recorded or noticed here. So like in history. So I don't know what that means to
like
you.
Like what, Erik? Eric, give us one thing.
He goes, hauntings. Like people would say, oh, I was there and I had this crazy experience and I feel like someone was watching me and, like a haunting. He's like, that's the word that you guys would use. It's not an actual haunting, but it's just an experience of their consciousness reflected back to them through this massive, like,
vortex.
energy magnifier, he said.
Wow.
So,
was it inhabited?
Very crazy. He
was
shakes
it
his head
an
no.
inhabited island? Do you know if it had people on it? Okay.
He shows people.
Not now, anyway.
Yeah, not now. He shows people either visiting or being there, but temporarily. Like I don't feel like it's not a long-term thing.
Yeah, they were wondering. They were wondering if it was like maybe they call it a sandy island because it was just mostly sand, like a big sandbar or something.
Oh, interesting.
Well, maybe that's why it dissolved so easily in the vortex.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Does it go to a certain place in the vortex, like another world or something?
Oh, yeah.
That's a great question. He's actually going really deep with this. Like, he's showing, like, literally, it's like I'm in space looking at the planet, and he's like, okay, here's the perspective. You see, on this side of the planet, there's a massive vortex, and on this side of the planet, there's another massive vortex. So it's like they continually energetically revolve around each other, or it's literally like a vacuum effect between each other, like back and forth. So they continually affect each other, he says. So it's not like it goes to another place, but these vortices, they're a higher vibration. So they think about it like this. You can think about these vortices as like entities almost. And almost like they communicate to each other, but it's this one major wavelength that he keeps comparing it to like a revolving door, like affecting each other. So it doesn't matter where they are, where they're located, they affect each other because it's the same pattern, the same frequencies. You see, so one could neutralize the other and what is happening at the other. You see what I mean? I hope that makes sense because it's like what he's showing and putting that into words is a little challenging, but ultimately he's showing, like, let's say on this side of the earth, you know, this vortex is, you know, off the charts. Maybe it's like, I don't know, however many, let's just generically say 5,000 hertz, whatever. And so on the other side of the earth, it's that much, but in the negative. Well, so they neutralize each other, you see? So energetically, like, those wavelengths continually affect each other, and then when they come in sync like that to cancel, not really cancel each other out, but neutralize each other, that's when you see shit go missing. That's when you see shit like that happen, he says. But then time, he's using air quotes with his fingers, he says, and people to become aware of that and go, oh, wait, when did that happen? What happened? That's a whole other explanation, he says, like our consciousness catching up with time or vice versa. So.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Well, I hope that helps you and give you some information.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. And y'all are like the magnificent trio, all three of y'all. And thank you, Erik, for what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I think we're ready to close now. I want you, Kim, to let us know a little bit about what you've got in your bag of tricks. What's coming up in your schedule?
Sure. Well, coming up in June 17th, will be an event out in Asheville, North Carolina. So if you guys aren't busy that day, come out, and we'll go through a couple of workshops, and that will be my actual book launch. So I'm really excited to talk to people about my book and why I wrote it, what's in it, what it means, and all that good stuff. So that's June 17th. You guys can find more information on my website at kimbabcock.net about my services as a medium and so on. And don't forget to check out the blog, channelingerik.com. Any questions you guys have about life or the afterlife, go check out the blog. I promise you'll leave feeling so much more fulfilled than when you started. There's so much information there, so go check it out. And on YouTube and social media across the board, you guys, stay connected.
And the name of your book, Kim?
It is Inside Out, A Journey to Inner Peace. It's a book that was honestly inspired by all of you guys. Last year when I went and did the tour, the Channeling Erik tour, it was inspired by the way you guys shared your hearts and your stories and the common thread that I recognized in all of those events. And so you guys inspired this book, Inside Out, and hopefully as you guys read through this book, it'll teach you guys how to maintain that inner peace no matter what you're going through. So
I mean, that's got to be one of the most powerful things that you can have. I mean, of course people want inner peace. You got to check out this book when it's available. So
Thank you. Thank you. And everybody send healing vibes to Elisa so she feels better fast.
God, please, yes. I have to drive all the way to Port O'Connor where there's no internet. And, I got out of bed so late today. It's like I've got so much work to still be done, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, love you guys. Love you, Kim. Love you, my boy,
too.
Erik.
Get some rest. Get some rest and take care. He says, I love you, Mom. He says, I'm here.
Thank you. Get some rest yourself, Kim. Bye, everybody.
I sure will.
Until next Thursday.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's Memorial Day. It's time to get out of town and get on the water. This summer, gear up for the fish, the food, and the family. Cabela's Memorial Day sale. Family events, amazing deals. Your one stop before the campfire. Save $200 on Champion Patriot generators. $100 on select kayaks. And get Cabela's Adult and Youth Deluxe Flotation Vests for just $9.99. Plus, come in and celebrate our Hometown Heroes event. See store for details. Shop in-store and online at Cabela's.com.
Create a true sense of home at Woodson's Reserve. Experience our community's distinctive modern lifestyle with a truly convenient location on the Grand Parkway. True community, true fun, true living. Visit woodsonsreserve.com for details.